Hey, this is going to be the last of the pre-recorded games we have. I wouldn't wouldn't bother with it, but I remember this Hoard Dragon game being pretty cool. This is when we were still at 2500 rating, so it's a little lower rated than some of the other ones. But this ended up being a pretty good game, I think, with some interesting stuff. So right here, none of these are super great on turn one. We wouldn't mind getting the support for the second round, but having it on turn one isn't great. Here I buy this thinking I can use the spell to make it a 4-1, which is fairly powerful, but since I can't do that, I end up looking kind of foolish and just having an 0-3 for the first fight, which means that this person gets to attack 3 times and get a slay trigger and beat us in the fight. I forgot I just used the free roll. That was foolish of me. Here I go for the pair. Because we're playing Hoard Dragon, pairs matter a lot more. I could have also chosen to buy one dragon, buffed the tree, making it a 1-4, and then having a 3-5 dragon for the fight. And then maybe I could have even frozen and got the 2 dragons next turn. That might have been a better play. But with Hoard Dragon, I'm very much looking just to treasure as quickly as possible. So I go for the pair. We're fighting against a ghost. Looks like someone just conceded very quickly. And, so we get a freebie win here. This time, I'm thinking that if we buy a good character, we can convert it with the Shot of the Ice Queen. And then we are able to buy I don't know the name of the support. I think it's like a Mad Mim maybe, that buffs both the dragons. So our dragons can take out enemy supports, and we got to get a buff. We got to spend our mana pretty efficiently, or a gold, I guess. I think I go back and forth between gold and mana. We're fighting against, I think it's called like Jack's Giant. You can see right up in the top left, and that means that all of their minions have, in the front row I think, have +2 health, which means that it's a Jack's Giant. So they are pretty good early. Here we see that we mostly trade down, but then since we lose our Minotaur, this has no attack and guys off, so we lose that fight, take a little damage. Here we can get the second Mim and probably buy the chicken just for the roll. See if because we'll trade it back in if we find anything that we can triple. Since we can't, we probably just hold on to it. We sell it and buy the third support. Okay, this is just helping us win fights. Having the chicken is nice. It's just a way to hold on to gold and also have a body on the board early game. But the supports are so powerful early game that it might just be worth doing this. Obviously, that's what I thought at the time. We're playing Big Bad Wolf, who is in first, but has taken 9 damage, which is actually the most damage in the game. We've taken the second most, so we're pretty weak, but it seems like they may be weaker than they appear. Even though they appear at the top of the leaderboard, they're actually not doing super well early game. It matters how strong your opponents are sometimes when you decide whether or not you want to try to put a board together that will battle early game rather than late. Although here we end up just with a chicken with 1 health against a 3 backline, so we lose this fight. Pretty unfortunate or disappointing. I don't know if it's unfortunate. Now here we have a few options. Cinderella is tempting because we can try to get, instead of getting a 2-cost treasure, we could get a 3. I'm even tempted by the mouse because that would turn into a 4. The polymorph character with the backline is, again, I'm saying tempting a lot, but I sort of feel like I want to go for that. So my strategy here is going to be to put one of these in here, see if we can get the attack, try to keep the rest of the board strong. Oh, and then actually put the second one in with the double buff. This increases the chance of the slay. We have a weaker board than we would otherwise, but we're going for the late game. I think I want to try to get the two doublies, although in hindsight I think that's probably a poor idea. My thinking is that since we have all supports, the buffs, you get double value out of the buffs. Unfortunately, they get the attack such that they get their slays and we don't. We will win this fight though, so at least we have some upside there. We don't take a bunch of more damage. So with the doublies, and we play that spell because it's basically free if we're going to buy two things. If you buy two things and cast the spell that reduces the cost of each of them by 2, you break even. So we have a 7-1 doubly and a 7-7. We're still looking for tripling anything. We have, what, 4 sets of pairs, right? 2 7-7s, and then we can put this back. There is some thought to waiting to try to level up the frog on the next round because we'll hit level 4 and then we try to level it up. But I think since we have 2 frogs, I'm just thinking that we can just try to trade one in now and then maybe try to trade the next one. If you trade them in, obviously, you don't have the pairs anymore. But you're not often pairing the frogs because usually they're transforming before you have time to do that. If you transform them, I think you get an upgraded minion of the next level, which is nice. Upgraded minions are a lot more powerful, but it's not really something you want to wait around for a lot of the time. We're playing the, I think, Pup the Magic Dragon, and they're usually pretty strong early, but they've taken a lot of damage, as have we. So they're in a similar spot to us. But since they have a flat bonus with their supports, they tend to be stronger, and yeah, you can see they have a 9-16. It would have been really nice if we had our dragons in to take out their backline. Would really reduce their stats, but we're a little bit greedy. So here we have a few options. Getting the 2 broccolis and then using the, I don't know what the 0 cost spell's name is, but whatever it is, to buff the broccolis, which makes them attack, and it's a spell cast for us, which we want because we really want to proc this Cinderella next turn so we can just get rid of it and get our treasure, just bail out. Now we finally see the dragon. We also see the, I think, the Nutcracker Prince. We see like sort of a weird treant comp that we could try to go to. We have these doublies, which are just 7-7s. I think the thought is that they would turn into a triple E at some point, and we'd get the level 4 treasure, which is always nice. Or that they just sort of hold us through the middle game, but that time is, it's sort of come and gone at this point. Next turn, we can try to buy the dragon and sell it maybe, and then buy the 2 treants, get the support one in back, start buffing the prince and the broccoli, and just get that big. Unfortunately, they have a dragon that's hitting our backline, which really reduces the effectiveness of our doublies. And then they have this ranged character, which is going to help finish us off. So we're dropping pretty low in health, all the way down to 13. We can probably survive 1 or 2 more fights. Our characters are not super strong. We get that. We don't want the thing that buffs when we lose matches, because if we lose any more matches, we're going to be dead pretty soon, so we're not going to get much value out of that. I cast this just so we can get the value off the Cinderella, and then I get really greedy and go for the treasure map. That means if we get a level 4 treasure off the broccolis or the Nutcracker Prince, combined with our hero ability, we can actually get a level 7. And level 7 powers are absurdly powerful. Since we sold off the double E, or we transformed the double E, we are sort of off that game plan. We put in the Prince Arthur just to buff the Cinderella. We're just trying to keep stats on the board and get some of these treasures. I mean, we're in a really bad spot. Fortunately, we're fighting the Ghost. I think the Ghost is the one who AFK'd right at the beginning, so they don't have any abilities, or they don't have any characters, which means we can't proc the Nutcracker Prince at all, which is sort of unfortunate for us. We do get a couple buffs, but just this round kind of isn't really getting us anywhere, so that's unfortunate. I think we cast this just to take advantage of the, the 4 health on a minion that it buffs its own attack, so having more health is helpful. We're considering getting the thing, but I don't know, I think Athena's Blessing maybe, but we ultimately just need to triple something, and here we find the broccoli, which means that we can get the level 7 treasures. Now, I've actually never had the Holy Grail. I don't actually know if that's every round you get as much gold as you want, or just that round, and you sort of have to just roll and fill your boards with all 6 pairs at that point and then replace it. So I don't actually know, but I just get the one that gives everybody +5/+5. It's still not super late in the game, like we're only level 4, we're gonna hit level 5. So giving everything +5/+5 is really nice, and then I think whoever wins gets bonus fairy dust, which is always nice. It's obviously nicer if we get the win than if we don't. But at this point, we're just trying to use the +5/+5 to help the Nutcracker Prince get another buff. One thing I sort of always forget is that the Nutcracker Prince is like I think it's a good treant prince. So if it gets upgraded by taking 5 more hits, it will get +2/+2 every turn from the Prince Arthur if we still have that. I don't know if that ends up working out. So right now we just basically have treasures that give all our minions +6/+6. Static buffs are good when you have things that spawn. So if we can get some spawn triggers, that's really nice. Hitting their backline is always really nice. And it makes, when you get turned to stone and you have the +6/+6, it makes it so it's still a worthwhile minion. And our Nutcracker takes 3 hits here, which is nice. I mean, I guess it takes the 4th hit, but doesn't survive, so we get credit for 3, which means that we're getting closer to getting that level 5 treasure. We don't have a monster. I think that's a pretty good mana value for a treasure, if you can. 3/3 for 2. So if you happen to have a monster available that you're gonna keep for a little while, it's worth doing. Here we probably just take the Prince Arthur. Like I said, with Hoard, we're really looking to triple things. I think we might take a look at this. I actually don't know the name. Is that Lancelot, maybe? Is it just Lancelot? So Lancelot is obviously a prince. Did we not buy it? Am I just getting confused? Oh, there we go. Okay. So Lancelot's a prince, which means that if it gets upgraded, it will start getting the author bonus. So we could have, 3 characters getting that. The Lancelot, the Nutcracker, and the Cinderella who's still hanging out in back. And it gets the +6, so it's already closer to achieving its quest, and its quest will give us a level 6 treasure instead of a 5. So we're trying to just get the treasures. It's really sort of a high risk strat, but we had a bad early game, so that's sort of what we're in on. The dwarfs are tough, and we get a really bad attack here because not only does it not get the slay trigger, but it survives. Here we get the 1 hit, and we just really hope to get a 2nd hit on this Nutcracker, which you would think we had a decent shot of, but I think we just don't get. Oh, we do get it. Okay, fantastic. So we'll get the level 5 treasure here. The treasure we have that gives +1/+1 is obviously not very good. So here we have some options. Level 2 and 3 not appearing in the shop is very good for us because it helps us triple the higher level characters. We have the Prince Arthur, which is a 4, and we have the Treant support. I'm not sure what that's called, but that's also a 4. So getting rid of the other one. So here we get the Prince Arthur trigger. We can replace the level 3 treasure. So Mimic, I think, is one of the strongest in the game. It basically gives you 2 treasures for the price of 1 if you have other treasures already. And since we have a level 7 treasure, it's like getting a second level 7 treasure, which is pretty great. So it doesn't help at all with your 2s and 3s don't appear, because you can't, doubling that doesn't do anything, at least as far as I know. So right now we just have a pretty heavy scaling comp. We have 3 people who are getting +4/+4 return. We have the 2 supports, which are kicking out +2/+1 to the units in front of them. We're hoping if we can get this Lancelot just to buff, then he'll start getting 4/4 turn. And you'll see right here he has a decent shot at getting it, but we get the bad attack. Just unfortunate. I mean, auto battlers is a big luck component, so you know it can really swing a game whether or not you get it, but you sort of just try to maximize your odds, and a lot of time they're not going to work out, and that's just, you know, that's how the game goes. We win this fight though, which is great for us. That was the first place person. I say first place a lot. Someone being top of the leaderboard doesn't necessarily mean they're the strongest at that point, but it does mean that they've, you know, managed to win most of the fights so far. So if you can beat them, you're probably more likely than not, at least at a power level that's, you know, consistent with the rest of the game. So here we just get to get a level 6 treasure by paying 10 gold, and this is tough. So we can give our first place person 200 attack, which means that we'll buff this, so we'll get a second crack at the level 6 treasure, so we can choose to take a new one if we like. And then it's pretty low risk. We basically sell that because we're never going to play it, and we figure we'll try the spell. I don't know if the spell gives us a 5 or a 6, because if we were to win this fight, which we hopefully do, the level, or the thing goes off, we hit level 6 at some point, but I don't know if it triggers first or second, so maybe we'll find out here. And the Lancelot will just trigger right away. I don't know if they level up during the fight, or if you have to wait till the next fight. So I don't know if he'll just get a little more health right away, and his Slay ability will go up. So yeah, he did trigger, but he didn't, his ability didn't go up at all. So he gets the Slay, obviously, because he has 200 attack, which is a little bit absurd. So that plus 100 attack isn't super good unless we have sort of spawners. Like if you have a baby bear there, and it's just like 3 minions that are getting 200 attack, and just basically trading with anything they have, that's super good. Oh, so we did get a 6, so we're going to get this, which gives +2/+2 to everything every turn, which doubled gives +4/+4. The idea being that the game is late, but it's not so late that we shouldn't just start trying to, we still can't take multiple round scaling. So right here we're trying to figure out what to swap in. Putting that in front gives it +2/+2. +1/+2 from the back line, but we miss out on the +4/+4. We sort of want to pick a permanent lineup, or at least like a lineup we think we want to stick with, because they're going to be getting +4/+4 every round, and you don't want to waste those buffs. So we don't want to just keep swapping things out on a round by round basis. I mean, obviously, if there's a situation where, you know, we get a better unit, we'll do that, but we don't want to just sort of swap stuff out and waste that +4/+4 buff, because that's really strong. I mean, you look at our people, you know, we have a 26/26. Giving that +4/+4 is a significant amount of its health. It's like what, a 16% buff or something, 15% buff, something along those lines. You know, the math is, you'll figure it out. So we're sort of transitioning away from the the treant support thing we have into the more prince and princess build that we sort of also backdoored into. But we just bought this level 6 treant. We still want to buy level 6s because if we get another level 6 treasure, we'll get another level 7. We'll get a level 6 triple, we'll get a level 7 treasure, which will be doubled with a mimic, and doubling a level 7 treasure is very good, as we can see. We've been doing that all game and getting the +10/+10. So we're still looking to do that. The 6s we're seeing right now are just the Lordy, which isn't particularly good. We probably should at this point take that evil pumpkin, not even to use it, just to maybe be able to triple it, but we don't. Here I try to get some different units. We find a couple 6s here. And I think we probably want to get... So this will get... At the beginning of each fight, everybody gets +4/+4, which means this gets +4/+4 and then sees everybody else, which means I think it gets +28/+28. Then our Prince Arthur is hitting 4 things, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, including itself, right? 16/16, so it's getting 44/44, I think, if I did that math at all, which, you know, plus or minus. And then if we get the Slay trigger, it's +4/+4. So they actually have a similar type of build to us. And it looks like they're going for like a Romeo and Juliet build. And whenever their princesses died, we're going to take like the 9 from the back, which isn't super significant, but because of the way it lines up, it gives them like a little bit of a shot to even up the thing. They also got the Mimic and the spell, so depending on what spell they get every round is going to be pretty strong. But we beat them pretty easily. They take 14. So we went down to 13 health very early. We actually bought the +1 health, and then we've just been hanging around at 14 health this entire game. I think we get this just to go up to 15 health. At this point in the game, it's just, you know, we want to just be, if we can survive an extra round just by getting the extra health, that's worthwhile. So we bought the extra treant. I still don't know what they're called. I think it's like the Elderwood something that grows when other units grow. So since we're fighting the ghost here, my thought is that I want to just put in the units. My thought is I'll put in something that grows, gives like a permanent buff. So I was going to give a permanent buff for online, and then I rethought and said, okay, but the owl plus the mimic give +4/+4, and I'd rather get that on a unit I'm going to keep on the board. So I decided to put the whatever the green range treant is. Again, still learning the names. So fighting the wolf, we should win easily because they've been knocked out for a while. We've gotten pretty fortunate because we get, you know, the buff every round. So if we get a free round, we get the buff. Plus we get a couple chances to get the Slay trigger. I think we got 1, so we get +4/+4 from that. And our opponents are battling, so they might knock each other out. And it looks like one of them did. So we're just looking if we can pair the last... If we can pair the 6-drop treant that we have in, that's fantastic. I think about paying this 4 and then realize that there's no 5 that I want to replace any of my treasures with. I think I figured that out. Looks like I'm still trying to figure that out. And then the polymorph just could help us win the fight, so we go there and stick with that. Then we just keep rolling down because what else are we gonna do? We really only want to buy 6s at this point. So if you have less than 6 gold, you're sort of just rolling to hope you hit something. And we're looking for very specific things. We're looking for basically a second or a third copy of growing treant in a second or third copy of the ranged one. Everything else is pretty useless to us. We just, because our people have been getting the +4/+4 so often, and in some cases the +8/8, they're just going to be bigger than any regular thing we can buy. And since our board isn't super synergistic in any way, like we don't have a weird Berenstein combo aspect to it, so it's not like we're going to replace our board with anything that really does any better. So they have an interesting board here because they can trigger their slays multiple times, and it will hit this middle thing. Oh, did that not trigger the slay? So if they get the slay trigger, it gets huge. But basically they didn't, and since we have so many upgradeds, and really just in general, we wipe them out without much. I mean, if you look at their treasures, they have like a level 2, a level 4, and a level 3, and we just have 2, 5, a 6, and a 7. So pretty easy game, but pretty cool that we got the level 7 treasure with the Hoard Dragon plus the other thing that buffs your treasure 2 levels, and then we got the Mimic. We just got really strong treasures this game, had to come from behind victory. It was pretty cool.